Hey everyone, this is Mike from Mike's Do It Yourself. Today I want to show you how to take out two radiator hoses, and this is from a 2009 Chevy Silverado. Now what I'm doing here is taking the clips out for the radiator cover. Now you don't need to do this, I just did it to see if there was any pressure relief cap or any kind of cap at the bottom that I could take out, but there wasn't, so I wasn't able to drain it from the bottom of the radiator. But if you want to take the radiator just to inspect your radiator, this is how you do it. You just pop these clips up, and I think there's 7 or 8 of them, and the cover will lift off. And like I said, there was no drain valve at the bottom of the radiator to drain it. So what I ended up doing was getting a big container and just putting it underneath the lower radiator hose closest to the engine, and then I took that hose off. And so I'm showing you where the hoses go. It goes to the bottom of the reservoir, goes to the top of the radiator, and then into the engine, top of the engine there. And so you'll want to take out the bolts for your rock guard, and there's, I believe, 4 or 5 of them, and they are 15 millimeter bolts. So you'll want to take those out. And so once you get your rock guard off, you'll be able to see that lower radiator hose a little better. Now this is the new radiator hose with all the clamps on and in position. Now that worm constant tension clamp I had to buy, and those other spring clamps I bought, I wasn't able to get a spring clamp that was big enough for that side that goes to the bottom of the engine there, that goes into the water. But I didn't want the band clamps or the worm clamps anymore. So I did the best I could to get spring clamps all the way around, except the one is actually it is a worm clamp, but it's a constant tension worm clamp. So you can see I'm taking off the hose or the band clamp for the overflow or the reservoir. Now this is going to be how you're going to refill your radiator, and you'll just pour the radiator fluid through your reservoir and it'll fill up your radiator and your engine. And then I'm just taking the old hose out. Now this is unique because the lower hose that goes to your radiator and then goes to your water pump, it has a split that goes to the bottom of your reservoir. So it's a 3-way hose. And then I just had a long extension to get that bottom clamp off. Now these two are the same size. So these hoses are actually the same. And what I used was a veneer caliper to measure all the hose ends, and that's when I ordered the spring clamps according to the sizes. So once you get the clamps off, you're able to just wiggle these hoses off of the connections. And some of these ends are plastic and the other ends are metal. So on the metal ends, you'll want to take a green scrubby, or I took this violet scrubby and just cleaned up all the calcium that was off of it. Otherwise, you're going to get leaks again if you had leaks on this before. And that was the problem with this, is that a lot of the corrosion had built up and the clamps just weren't sealing anymore. So if you have an opportunity to get the spring clamps, that's what you definitely want to go with, because those are constant tension. And so there's the new radiator hose with the heat shield or the heat sleeve over it, and there is the calcium buildup I was telling you about. So it's, like I said, just get a scrubby, clean that off really well, and that way the hose will adhere to it or stick to it a little better, and then when you get the clamp on there, it'll really seal it and you won't have any leaks. So what I'm doing now is checking for cracks, and you want to just check every end, and I had a mirror on 2 of the sides, and just check every angle that you can and just make sure there's no cracks in the ends, because that will cause a leak for sure. And so this is the new hose, and you can just take some pliers and clamp the spring ends and pull them together, and then just fit it over the ends of the hose. And I won't tell you part numbers just because part numbers change. I did have somebody comment that they wanted part numbers, but they will change from manufacturer to manufacturer, so that's one thing I won't be doing. I mean, if you need a specific part, you know, I can maybe help you find something, but they are going to change from manufacturer to manufacturer. So what we're doing here, what I'm doing here is actually reusing the radiator fluid, because it's probably less than 6 months old, 6 months to a year old. You can see the bright orange color. It's the Dex Cool, like extended. And so what I'm going to do, I'm just going to filter it out with a paper towel, and then I'm going to use, you know, about 2 quarts at a time through a filter, and that way it'll go in there nice and clean, and no contaminants will get in the system. And then once I get this radiator reservoir filled up to about 3/4 of the way, I'll put the cap on, go ahead and heat it up, make sure the thermostat opens up, and then, you know, run it for a while, and then add coolant as necessary. So that'll be the final thing on this, once you have all the hose clamps secure. And I hope this has been helpful. This has been Mike from Mike's Do It Yourself. Good luck on your next home or automotive project, and thanks for watching. Don't forget to share, like, subscribe, and comment.